And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Natural rights of every citizen.
But you don't let me fully...
They have become the weapons of political despots.
Yes, but may I...
And if you don't think as they think, you're deprived of your passport.
Will you allow me
to leave a country is like breaking out of jail.
Yes,
and
but...
to enter a country is like going through the eye of a needle.
But
am I free to travel?
Of course you're free to travel.
Only with a passport.
Will you allow me to say something?
Only with a passport. Do animals need passports?
Have you finished?
It's in Congress that in this atomic age of speed, we are shut in and shut out by passports.
If you'll shut up and let somebody else talk...
And free speech, does that exist?
No, you've got it all.
And free enterprise?
We were talking of passports.
Today it's all monopoly.
All right. Now will you...
Can I go into the automobile business and compete with the auto trust?
If I can get in a word...
Not a chance. Can I go into the grocery business and compete with the chain stores?
Will you shut up?
Not a chance. Monopoly is the menace of free enterprise. As I look back 60 years ago...
Where were you 60 years ago?
He was a glint in his great-grandfather's eye.
Very well now. Have you finished? Now let me say something. Let me tell you how wrong you are. In the first place... In the first place... Now I've forgotten what I wanted to say.
And the atomic bomb.
Ah.
It's a crime that when the world cries for atomic energy, you want to make atomic bombs.
Me? I'm against atomic bombs.
You want to wipe out civilization. Destroy all life on this planet. You still think you're living in the night?
I lost my throne because I didn't want atomic bombs.
You and your kind think that atomic bombs can solve your problem.
Listen, you little rat.
Today, man has too much power. The Roman Empire collapsed with the assassination of Caesar. And why? Because of too much power. Feudalism blew up with the French Revolution. And why? Because of too much power. And today, the whole world will blow up. And why?
Because of too much power.
The monopoly of power is a menace to freedom. It degrades and victimizes every individual. And where is the individual?
I don't know.
Lost in terror because he's made to hate instead of love. If civilization is to survive, we must combat power until the dignity and peace of man are restored.
What's the meaning of this?
Ordinarily translated virtue. But virtue, as we understand it today, isn't at all appropriate. the nearest kind of, when we speak of the healing virtues of a plant, that's nearer to the meaning of this word, dirt. The Japanese pronounce it toku, the Cantonese duck, and the northern Mandarins approximately dirt. And in the section of the Lao Tzu, where this is really introduced, the text says something like this: superior virtue, not virtue, thus it has virtue. Inferior virtue, can't let go of virtue, thus not virtue. And we more or less paraphrase that by translating. Superior virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, therefore it is virtue. But inferior virtue is so hooked up with being virtuous, or hooked on being virtuous, that it's not virtue. Now then, therefore, this word is a connection of virtue and magic. It means the excellence of things, in the sense that a tree excels at being a tree, and nobody really knows how it does it. There is no way of imitating a tree, except the only thing is to be one. And so in the same way, when a human being shows extraordinary skill in something, it seems that it comes natural to him. It seems that he doesn't achieve it by any kind of artificiality. If there is some discipline in it, it's concealed. So, excelling in something naturally, and yet it's something that is so difficult to understand that it seems that it has been done by magic, is the meaning of this word. So what is the state of affairs, a way of talking about particularly a human being who has learned to live in harmony with the Tao. Now, of course, everything is fundamentally in harmony with the Tao. In the book called the Zhongyong, or the Unwobbling Pivot, it is said, the Tao is that from which nothing can depart, that from which things can depart.
A high degree of belief that the past does, in that sense, affect the present, then you create an effect that seems to provide the evidence that it does, that seems to continuously provide a rationale that the past does affect the present. But that is merely something that you do in the now moment. Therefore, the now moment is always your point of power. For since you always ever exist in the now, it is always eternally right now. You can always change your reality right now, for there is no other time. When you are willing to begin to look at that, you are not remembering a past that is quote-unquote still there, but recreating the past from the present, right now. You will understand that right now is all that matters. Right now is the point at which you make any determination or relationship to a past or a future. So right now is the time that you can change that idea. Your particular manifestation, physically speaking, of your reality results generally from 3 steps. Number 1, in a given now moment, from a given set of circumstances, you have an interpretation. In general, you will ascribe a positive or negative interpretation to a particular given situation. Now understand, the situation in and of itself is a blank set of props with no built-in meaning. you assign the meaning. And if it is something that is generally societally labeled bad, and you then buy into that and automatically label it negative, then you cannot help in that sense but get a negative effect from that neutral symbol. But the opposite is also true. It is always your choice in any given now moment to remember that the symbol that the event has really no built-in meaning until you assign it. And that perhaps, yes, there are certain aspects of a given situation which may on the surface seem negative. That is not the only thing or the only message that the circumstance has built into it. For when we say all situations are neutral, that neutrality is expressed as 100% potentiality for a negative manifestation, but also 100% potentiality for a positive. And this means that are you to ascribe a positive meaning to something which you heretofore have ascribed a negative meaning to, you cannot help but get a different effect out of it. For in, again, each now moment, what you do is interpret from that blank set of props whether you...
The anxious is the person who is resisting the flip-flopability of things. Life is vibrating, it's going blip, 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 blip all the time, and the anxious person says, God's sake, don't do that. Because, you know, you might do it too much. I don't want to blip like this. It makes me feel nervous. Stop it. And so, as he puts his weight on this blip, blip, he goes like this. You see, it gets trembling. So instead of saying, come on, let's blip, see, let's go, and do this thing. So in exactly the same way, the person who wants to say, well, you're nothing but some kind of chemicals. And they're just a lot of... you're a bag of pus and blood, basically, with a few bones inside. And that person is doing the same thing, you see, as the person who's putting pressure on the flip-flopability of things, and so he gets anxious. And the person who does this, he wants to say, he's always, look, think about your friends and the people who are philosophical and enthusiastic materialists. They're always going to pose themselves as a certain kind of hero. After all, you're just a dreamer, but I face facts. See? I'm a hard-headed realist. And I'm as a matter of fact, I'm an intellectual porcupine. I have my prickles out all over the place because I'm the kind of person who, in the academic world at any rate, is full of rigor. I ask, what precisely is the evidence about this? And I'm analytical. And I'm, believe in, I don't like woolly and vague thinking. I like it clear-cut. And you can see that porcupine's bristle going right through like that. See, well, this is a personality type who wants to play that role, whose message in saying all this jazz is, I'm the kind of person who is all dry as a bone. But I believe that that is strength, and that's reality. And another kind of person says to him, oh, you are intolerable. You're so dry, you're so dull, you rattle. You don't have any juice in you. And what we need is juice. And we need flow. We need lilt and rhythm and gaiety, you see. So that's an opposed mythology. And that's another character part you're going to play. But so we've got to consider these are games, you see, as I tried to show you earlier. The kind of roles we play are the kind of games we play. So, but the question is, which is the optimal game? Certainly we can't do without some prickly people. Because
men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. The 17th chapter of the book is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power. The power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Serious, they look all about it, and they don't really know it's a game. And you can cultivate a certain contempt for people like that. But it's very, very bad to do that. Because, of course, don't forget, they have a certain contempt for you. You see, always the nice people in town who live in the best residences, they know that they're nice, because there are some people on the other side of the tracks who are not nice. And so at their cocktail parties, they have a lot to say about the people who are not nice, because that boosts their collective ego. There would be no other way of doing it. You don't know that you're a law-abiding citizen unless there are some people who aren't. And if it's important to you to congratulate yourself on being law-abiding, you therefore have to have some criminal classes, outside the pale, of course, of your immediate associates. On the other hand, the people who are not nice, they have their parties. And they boost their collective ego by saying that they're the people who are really in. Whereas these poor squares who deliver the mail faithfully and who carry on what you call responsible jobs, they're just dupes. Or when they earn their money, all they do is they buy toy rocket ships with it and go roaring around and so on, and they think that's pleasure. So the people who are not nice boost their collective ego in that way. Neither of them realizing that they need the other just as much as a flower needs a bee and a bee needs a flower. So when you see the people who you think are not in on the secret, if you really understand, you have to revise your opinion completely and say that the squares are the people who are really far out, because they don't even know where they started. See, an enlightened Hindu or Buddhist looks at the ignorant people of this world and says, my respects. Because here I see the divine essence, having altogether forgotten what it is, and playing the most far-out game of being completely lost. Congratulations. How far out can you get? So if you understand that, you don't start a war with people you might say are square. Don't challenge them. Don't bug them. Don't frighten them. The reason is not because they are immature, because they are babies, and you mustn't scare babies. It's nothing to do with that. You mustn't frighten them because they are doing a very far-out act. They're walking on a tightrope, miles up. And they've got to do that balancing act, and if you shout, they may lose their nerve. See, that's...
To proceed in any given situation, if you embody and empower that preferred view. At first, it may seem as a process. At first, it may seem that, well, my initial tendency is still the old approach. But the more times that you, rather than acting from the old perspective, call forth the referential and hand that over, the more times you will give yourself the opportunity to see that there is always a positive choice. And it is always within you, obtainable by at any time. Even when you hand the situation over to that referential, and see what that you've done. If you then do that, you will get the result of doing that. And the more you are willing to do so and only allow your life to be that consciously performed, the more that the process will design in terms of human life. You will begin to automatically simply invoke and embody that without defeating one step of religion. So therefore, this tool, if it does initially seem like a process, only does so because that is where you are now willing to insert a pause before you act according to non-principle. That pause, that willingness before acting when you have a negative perspective is all that is necessary to completely transform the face of your life. For it does not take very many positive actions in a row that then yield positive results to build up enough of a positive momentum to overwhelm the quote-unquote old, non-preferred negative momentum. For again, it is not any matter of walking or running from the negative self, but by walking toward the positive self, there is automatically a distance from the negative experiential self. Still be aware of negative while you are in this reality, but that reality, in terms of the experience of the negativity, will be through someone else. That's their story. My story is the positive alternative to their story, which I validate, which is a reality, which has the right, but it's not my choice. I do not criticize it, I do not judge the other reality. I simply embody my own reality as an alternative, as a statement to the universe, as a statement to myself, as a statement to those around me, that this is coming. This is how we live, and not because it is us, but from our perspective, we find this full choice and wish to share it with you for your ability to participate in this style of interchange.
But ordinarily, in these other ways, the way of the yogi, the fakir, and the monk, the individual makes a big thing out of the work of liberation, and especially likes the kind of teacher who will put him through the most severe paces. It's interesting how there arise from time to time schools in the West where someone comes along offering, people say, look, it's all very well to go to discussion groups and talk about these things, but that's not the real thing. What you need is really to get down and do some work. And often these teachers are very rude and very stern, but people love it. And such a person will always attract a great following. Because people get the feeling, now we're at serious business here. This is really something, you see. And this, you see, though, can be an awful problem. Let's suppose that you have some difficult and distressing habit, like drinking too much. And you're assured that once you've become the victim of this habit, it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to get rid of it, and it requires intense willpower. And so that kills you right off. You're a dead duck from then on. It's as if, you see, you had said to the devil one morning, look, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm not going to have anything to do with you anymore. So the devil, who is an archangel and is terribly clever, is all set for you. And because he knows that you are getting out of his way, he surrounds you with greater temptations than you ever imagined. If you are going to outwit the devil, it's terribly important that you don't give him any advance notice. And this is where the work of the sly man comes in. Put it in other terms, in Hindu or Buddhist terms, in the popular terms of popular Hinduism and Buddhism. Liberation is getting out of the toils of karma. It's like this. During your many past lives, you've done all kinds of deeds, good and bad, and you are reaping the consequences of these deeds today. And also today you are setting up future consequences. Now, before you can be liberated, you've got to pay off your karmic debts. And so the moment you set your foot on the path of liberation, you are apt to find that all your karmic creditors will come to your door.
You will be aware of, the greater ability you will have to perceive the shifts that are going on automatically all the time in a seemingly smooth and continuous manner. But that continuity is an illusion. So if you're willing to really truly start redefining your reality, the reality you prefer, by following your excitement, by acting on it, your true vibration, by being who you really know you are in a bold and applicable way in your experience of physical reality, the greater and greater and greater shifts you will be able to perceive in your reality. The bigger leaps you will take from one parallel reality to the next in terms of how you define them, and the greater the comparison difference will be between the two, and then you will know, really perceive, really experience that you are truly shifting in a superconductive and hyperconductive way. You are truly flowing to a slim stream of energy of your own consciousness and becoming more and more aware that you're already doing all the things you actually desire to do. It's just that now you need more ability to become more aware of that fact rather than learning anything new. Make sense? All right. We will let all of that absorb it at your own rate. It is all in there. Just take it in at whatever rate your belief systems will allow you to, and I guarantee you that when you begin to truly, consciously, and intentionally apply what we have just talked about and come up with these realizations and allow them to click in your psychology, you will start to see time and space become far more plastic, far more malleable. Synchronicity will start to amplify and magnify, and you will find that you're able to allow time and space to become very, very simple, so that magical things can happen very easily, very effortlessly, whereas you are already a flawless creation machine. You already automatically shift through billions of parallel realities every second. You are expanding faster than the speed of light. But the speed of light is just your illusionary barrier to the experience of space-time reality. But you yourself, your consciousness itself, expands more rapidly, way more rapidly, than the idea you call the speed of light, which compared to the idea of infinite consciousness is very, very slow. So, let all this begin to sink in at whatever rate, in whatever way you need to. If you wish to listen to the recording again a few times, it's up to you. If you think you've got it, that's fine. Just let it sink in and let it reveal itself to you at whatever rate your belief system is comfortable in becoming aware of these ideas and using
early part of the 20th century, later part of the 20th century, much positive change. I think the world, yes, there is a lot of crisis, a lot of bad things, but also a lot of good things. And yet, we have been
Mike Wardman, founder of A Million Smiles. To join our journey, please subscribe to our YouTube channel below and check us out on Facebook. And while you're there, you might like to leave a comment on your thoughts on Buddhism and happiness. Are they a match made in heaven or something else? And as always, please share this video with 10 friends who you think might get a smile out of it.
Income, money come from that soil. So similarly, individual happy life depend on others. So the others are basis or source of our fortune. So it's taking care of them. It's a more nature sort of way. I think artificial thinking, I'm independent. I never depend on them. They exploit, cheating, lying, bully. In reality, long run, you are cutting or destroying basis of your own future. So humanism, basic human nature is more gentleness. Gentleness